Today, we're going to trace the history of an idea. But this isn't just any idea. It's an idea so powerful it literally drew the map of the world we live in today. We're talking about the idea of the nation. So let's dive in and see how this whole concept was born, how it spread, and what it might mean for all of us now. But first, let me ask you a question. Just for a second, what if your country, as you know it, as you think about it, just didn't exist? It's a pretty wild thought, right? But that strange idea is actually the key to our entire story. Because for almost all of human history, it didn't. The idea of a country, a nation, that just wasn't a thing. Your identity wasn't tied to a nationality. It was tied to something much, much closer to home, like your village, or maybe something way bigger, like the empire you happen to live in, or the religion you follow. The idea of being, say, French or Japanese or Mexican, that was still centuries in the future. Okay, so if this idea wasn't always around, where did it come from? Well, our story really kicks off with a massive spark in late 18th century France. A revolution was brewing, sure, but it wasn't just about kicking out a king. It was about creating a completely new way for people to see themselves and each other. You know, the French revolutionaries were incredible marketers for this new idea. They took these big abstract feelings and made them real, made them tangible. They came up with concepts like la patrie, the fatherland, and le citoyen, the citizen. Suddenly, you weren't just a subject of the king, you were an equal citizen. That simple shift is the foundation for pretty much all modern rights. And they created powerful symbols, like swapping out the old royal flag for the tricolor we know today. They set up a national assembly to represent the people, not the monarch. And then they did something really practical. They created one system of laws and even measurements for everyone. Step by step, they were literally building a new, shared French identity from scratch. And out of all this chaos and creativity came a brand new type of political entity, the nation-state. This was a total game changer. It wasn't just some territory ruled by a king anymore. Nope. It was a community of citizens, all equal under a constitution, all bound together by a shared identity. It sounds normal to us now, but back then, this was a truly radical, world-altering idea. And an idea this big, it doesn't stay in one place for long. It spread like wildfire. There's this famous quote from the Austrian statesman Metternich, who said, "When France sneezes, the rest of Europe catches cold." And wow, was he right. The spark of nationalism that was lit in France, it set off a chain reaction of movements and revolutions all across Europe. But that brings up a good question. How on earth did an idea travel so fast and so far in a time before the internet, before phones, before any of that? Well, that brings us to the engine of this whole change. Turns out a revolution of ideas needs a revolutionary technology to help it spread. And that technology was, of course, the printing press. Just take a look at this timeline. For centuries, information moved at a snail's pace. Hand printing gets to Japan in 768. Marco Polo brings woodblock printing to Europe hundreds of years after that. But then, boom, around 1448, Gutenberg's mechanical press changes absolutely everything. And by the 19th century, you have these new power-driven presses that could churn out books and pamphlets and newspapers on a scale that was just unimaginable before. If you want to grasp the sheer power of print, just think about this one number, 95. In 1517, a guy named Martin Luther nails his 95 theses, his arguments, to a church door. Before the printing press, that might have been the end of the story. But now, his ideas were copied, printed, and spread all across Europe, sparking the Protestant Reformation. It was proof that a single voice, when amplified by print, could challenge the biggest, most powerful institutions in the world. And people, at the time, they totally got this. They weren't blind to what was happening. By the 18th century, thinkers knew the kind of power they were dealing with. One novelist, Louis Sebastian Mercier, called the printing press an engine of progress that would sweep despotism away. And he was right. It's what spread all those Enlightenment ideas. It fueled public debate, and it basically set the stage for the revolution in France. So you've got this powerful idea of the nation, born in Europe and supercharged by print. But it didn't just stay there. It traveled all over the world. And in places like colonial India, it wasn't just copied. It was completely transformed into something new. See, nationalism in India just looked different. In Europe, it was often about uniting people with the same ethnic background, and it was usually forged in the heat of battle. But Indian nationalism, that was born out of the struggle against colonialism. The goal wasn't to unite one single ethnicity. It was to create unity in diversity, which is way harder. The method wasn't war, it was nonviolence. And the symbol wasn't some heroic warrior figure, but a mother figure, Bharat Mata, or Mother India. And at the absolute core of this new kind of nationalism was Satyagraha. This was Mahatma Gandhi's big idea. And it wasn't just a tactic, it was a whole philosophy. It was the belief that you didn't need guns and violence to fight injustice. Instead, you could rely on the power of truth and nonviolent resistance to unite people and ultimately to win. And just like the French revolutionaries we talked about, Indian nationalists knew they needed powerful symbols to bring everyone together. The image of Bharat Mata gave a face, a personality to the nation. The hymn Vande Mataram became a unifying anthem. Leaders revived old folklore and retold Indian history to build a sense of shared pride. And unifying symbols like the Swaraj flag gave people something to rally behind. So all of that brings us to today. And it brings us to a really fascinating paradox when we think about our modern, super-connected world. We've seen how this idea of the nation was born and how it shaped everything. I mean, the biggest legacy of nationalism is right there in front of us every time we look at a map. All those lines, all those borders separating one country from another, that entire way of seeing the world is a direct result of the journey we've just been on. But here's the paradox. The very same kinds of forces that helped this idea spread in the first place are now the things making those borders seem, well, a lot less solid. Think about it. The ancient Silk routes connected the world through trade. Today, we have a global economy. People have always migrated for a better life. Today, it's happening on a massive scale. And the printing press spread revolutionary ideas across continents. Well, today we have its successor, the internet, which lets ideas cross any border in an instant. So we'll leave you with this to chew on. In a world that is so deeply interconnected, where goods, people, and ideas are flowing more freely than at any point in history, what does it even mean to belong to a nation today? What's the future for an idea that was born in revolution and has defined our world for more than 200 years?